Well, the Department of Justice taking on North Carolina, suing that state over its new voter ID law. This, the latest move by the Obama administration to counter a Supreme Court ruling. The DOJ says the new law threatens the voting rights of minorities. National correspondent Steve Santani is live for us in Washington. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Allison. Yeah, the lawsuit was filed today challenging key portions of that North Carolina law dealing with the ID requirement and early voting. Now, Attorney General Eric Holder at a news conference just over an hour ago here in D.C. said the law had the intent and the effect of discriminating against African Americans by disproportionately limiting their access to electoral balloting. It's the second such lawsuit filed by the Justice Department just in the past several months. Two suits were brought against the state of Texas over redistricting and voter IDs. Now, the North Carolina law requires a photo ID to vote, but it can't be a student ID, an employee ID, or one issued by a public assistance agency. The law also cuts back on the number of early voting days, prohibits registering and voting on the same day, and prohibits counting ballots cast by eligible voters in the wrong precinct. Supporters say the law protects against voter fraud, but the Attorney General doesn't buy it.
The proof of that is simply not there. All the studies that I have seen and that I think are reputable indicate that this concern about vote fraud is something that is made up in order to justify these restrictive and I think at a minimum partisan actions.
The Supreme Court last June struck down a key provision of the Voting Rights Act, and Holder says these lawsuits are an attempt to use the remaining portions of the law to prevent voting rights, violations of voting rights, which he says are shrinking rather than expanding as a result of laws like the one in North Carolina. There was no immediate comment from officials in North Carolina, but they are planning a news conference for this afternoon. Allison?
Thanks so much, Steve, for that update. Bill.